Hello, senior high school grade 11 learners. Welcome to another world of discovery, knowledge, and learnings. This is Ma'am Giselle, your partner in discovering statistics and probability. For Module 1, Quarter 3, we have the topic random variables and probability distributions. So let's find out what will be the random variables and probability distributions all about. Let's start the discussion with this activity. List down the sample space of the following experiments. So, you're going to encounter different terms in statistics and probability, like experiment. So, when we say experiment, like in science, you're going to do an activity. And you're going to list down or find the possible outcomes. So, experiment dito, hindi tayo gagamit ng mga different apparatuses, ng telescope or whatsoever, but we're going to use different kinds of objects para malaman natin yung sample space. And when we say sample space, ito yung mga possible outcomes. Yung mga posibleng lumabas kapag ginawa natin yung experiment. For example, flipping 2 coins. What will be the possible outcomes if we flip 2 coins? Diba kapag nag-itcha tayo ng isang coin, ano yung mga posibleng lumabas kapag nag-toss tayo ng coin? We have head or tail, or tao or ibon. So how about if we flip 2 coins? What are the sample space? What are the combinations of getting the possible outcomes? Okay, these are head head, head tail, tail head, and tail tail. Bakit naging head head, head tail, tail head, and tail tail? Because dalawa yung coins na initcha natin. Dalawa yung flip natin, so dalawa yung magiging sagot niya sa bawat isang pag-flip. Pwede siyang maging head head, pwedeng maging head and tail, pwedeng maging yung isang coin ay tail, yung isa ay head, or pwede namang pareha silang coin na tail ang lumabas. So yun yung tinatawag natin na experiment. Experiment ay yung pag-flip ng coin at ang sample space yung mga posibleng lumabas kapag ginawa natin yung experiment. Next experiment. Let's have a rolling a die. When we roll a die, what are the possible outcomes or the sample space? Let's list down the sample spaces. So when we roll a die, we have 6 sides and these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these are the sample spaces if we roll a die. How about drawing a spade from a deck of cards? So in one deck of cards, we have 52 pieces. 13 pieces for hearts, 13 pieces for diamonds, 13 pieces for spade, and 13 pieces for clubs. And these 13 pieces are ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. Okay, so drawing a spade from a deck of cards, what are the possible outcomes? These are 13 spades. The ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and king. And next, let's have another experiment, rolling a coin and a die simultaneously. So magro-roll tayo ng coin at ng die ng sabay. So what are the sample spaces? We have head 1, head 2, head 3, head 4, head 5, head 6, tail 1, tail 2, tail 3, tail 4, tail 5, and tail 6. Last one, let's have drawing a card greater than 7 from a deck of cards. So when we say greater than 7, what are the numbers from the deck of cards greater than 7? Mas mataas sa 7. So we have 8, 9, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. We have 6 pieces greater than 7. And how many symbols we have? We have 4. So the answer are 6 diamonds, 6 hearts, 6 spades, and 6 clubs. These 6 are 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. So next, let's have the random variable. A random variable is a function that associates a real number to each element in the sample space. It is a variable whose values are determined by chance. Capital letters are used to denote or represent a variable. So when we say random variable, we're going to count how many occurrence of a certain variable occur from one experiment. Example, suppose 3 coins are tossed. Let y be the random variable representing the number of tails that occur. Find the values of the random variable y. So 3 coins are tossed. We're going to find the possible outcomes. And we're going to count, or we're going to know the number of occurrence of tails, and we're going to represent that with the variable y. So the possible outcomes of 3 coins are being tossed: head, 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 tail. We have head, tail, head, tail, head, 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 tail, and tail, tail, head, tail, 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 and head, and tail, tail, tail. So from these possible outcomes, we're going to count the number of tails, the number of tails occurrence. So from the first possible outcome, how many tails occur? So we have 0 because the 3 coins appeared as head, so 0. From the second possible outcome, how many is tail? So we have 1. From the third possible outcome, we have also 1. From the fourth possible outcome, we have 1. Next, 2. Tail appeared 2 times. And the next, tail appeared 2 times. And then 2. And then last is 3. So, therefore, the possible values of random variable y are 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that is what we call the random variable. Next, drawing balls. 2 balls are drawn in succession without replacement from a box containing 3 yellow balls and 4 blue balls. Suppose X is the number of blue balls drawn. So we're going to draw 2 balls magkakasunod. And hindi na natin kailangang ibalik pa yung bolang nabunot natin doon sa box. So we have 7 balls in the box. 3 yellow and 4 blue balls. So what are the sample space? So we have blue blue, blue yellow, yellow blue, and yellow yellow. We're going to count the number of occurrence of blue balls. And we're going to denote it as X. So, from the first sample space, ilang beses lumabas ang blue balls? So, we have 2. From the second, 1. And then third, we have 1. And then from the last sample space, possible outcome is 0. So, the possible outcomes or possible values of a random variable X are 0, 1, and 2. Next, number of defective cell phones. Suppose 3 cell phones are tested at random. Let B represent the defective cell phone and let N represent the non-defective cell phone. If we let X be the random variable for the number of defective cell phones, construct the probability distribution of the random variable X. So sabi niya, we have defective cell phones. Tatlo yung itetest natin at random. So, from the cell phones, dalawang uri yon. You have the defective and non-defective. Defective cell phone, ire-represent natin siya as D, and non-defective cellphone, ire-represent natin siya as N. So, we're going to construct the probability distribution. Let X be the random variable of defective cellphone. So, ang bibilangin natin ay defective cell phones. So, let's list down the possible outcomes. We have NNN, NND, NDN, DNN, NDD, DND, DDN, and last, tatlong defective cell phones yung mabubunot natin. So, we're going to count now the number of occurrence of defective cell phones. Yung D ang bibilangin natin. So, from the first possible outcome, we have 0. Second, we have 1. Third, we have 1. From the fourth, dito, eto, 1. Next, from non-defective, defective, and defective, dalawang beses natin nakuha si defective. Next, dito, dalawang beses din si defective. And then here, dalawa. And then last is 3. So, the possible outcomes from this example, the possible values of random variable from the previous example are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now, we have two types of random variables. How do you describe a discrete random variable? And how do you describe a continuous random variable? These are the two kinds of random variables. So, random variable is a discrete if its set of possible outcomes is countable. If you can count the number of possible outcomes from a random variable, therefore, that is what we call discrete. A random variable is a continuous random variable if it takes on values on continuous scale. Okay? Example. The sample space below gives a detailed description of the possible outcomes when one tosses a coin 2 times. So the possible outcomes are head-head, head-tail, tail-head, tail-tail. What kind of random variable is X? Anong kind daw ba ng random variable yung S natin? Is it discrete or is it continuous? Consider the experiment in which batteries coming off an assembly line were examined until a good one, S, was obtained. Okay, let's go back to the previous. Okay, from previous slide, the type of random variable is discrete because the sample space are countable. Next, we have S, FS, FFS, FFFS, and so on and so forth. What type of random variable is this? A sample space that is definite or countably indefinite is considered as discrete random variable. So, meaning to say, ito example natin na to, I consider as discrete random variable pa rin siya. Why? Because that is what we call countably indefinite. Okay? Infinite rather. Next, what kind of random variable is described by the height of an individual? Height is what we call the continuous random variable because it is in continuous scale. The height of an individual can assume infinitely many values corresponding to points on a line interval. It is an example of continuous random variable since it is uncountably infinite. Okay? So, for your activity, let's exercise, classify the following random variables as discrete or continuous. Okay, let's answer. The number of eggs laid each month by 2 hens. Is it continuous or discrete? Okay, very good. So that is discrete. Your blood pressure. Right. So that is continuous. Height of ocean's tide at a given location. Yes, that is continuous. The number of voters favoring a candidate. Very good. That is discrete because we're talking about the number of people, number of voters. Therefore, that is countable. Next, tensile breaking strength of 1-inch diameter steel cable. Yes, that is continuous. Total number of points scored in a basketball game. That is countable. Therefore, that is discrete. The amount of milk produced yearly by a particular carabao. Yes, that is continuous. The number of building permits issued by the City Hall of Malolos. Very good. So that is discrete. The pH of a randomly chosen soil sample. Yes, that is continuous. And the number of patient arrivals per hour at a medical clinic. Very good. So that is discrete. So do you have any answer? Do you have any question rather? So if you have any question, comment down your question and I'm going to try to answer all your inquiries. So for your